Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission is one of the most amazing author experts of a new book that we have coming out. The book is called Love Warriors, The Conscious Expert's Guide to Healing, Joy, and Manifestation. Dan Gorbunow, welcome. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me, Laura.
I'm so excited to have this conversation. You guys, Dan is the award-winning author of The 7 Secrets of Men's Spirituality and a certified soul care coach to help you develop self-care mastery. He is so much more than that, by the way, and you're about to hear more about what I mean by that. But first of all, thank you so much for being willing to share your story in this book and for the incredible master teachings you're sharing in there too. This book is full of awareness practices like yours that are going to transform people's lives. Would you tell us a little bit about your chapter?
Sure. Yeah, it's in a way, it's a continuation of the first chapter I wrote for you in the Find Your Voices, where in that chapter, I was really going deep into I asked myself, what's the darkest place I've ever been in my life? And what did I do when I was there? And this next chapter for Love Warriors is about, I've been on the journey for a while at this point, and I'm doing a lot of the things I wanted to do to make reconciliation in my life with, some of the most important people in my life that I had lost connection with. And it starts off basically, literally getting the door slammed in my face. And what happens when you set out on a quest trying to do the right thing? You have a vision for what your life is about, and then what happens when it doesn't go according to plan? So that was like the next leg of this great cycle. And I think of these great teachings I received where, growth isn't a steady curve up. It's more like a ridge saw. And like a saw, there's a lot of teeth in there. You can get cut in those teeth and those little descents that happen. So this is like the next cut that happened. And for me, it was a game changer because it really taught me that whatever you set out to do is still malleable. It's still subject to editing by the universe, by your soul, by forces around you that your cognitive brain cannot usually comprehend fully. They say wisdom comes hindsight, and so a lot of the things that happened to me in the course of my life, I think that happened to people, is that I don't tend to get the value of what's going on till much later. And in this story, in this case, it was a dramatic, wow, just gale force winds hitting me in the face, like this plan is just falling apart. And then what happened to me after that? And how did I, through, just the blessing of spirit and paying attention, burrow my way out of that mess?
I love that you said that just now, spirit and paying attention, because in my mind, I was like, man, you got to be awake at least at some level to be able to follow the breadcrumbs that were in front of you. And this story is so beautifully written. It was full of just helping the reader be in their senses. It was just so juicy, Dan. It was awesome. And when I say juicy, that doesn't mean always that it was happy juicy. It was both ends of the spectrum. And so you took us on a little roller coaster ride, which I loved. So thank you for doing that so brilliantly. But what about this paying attention thing? Like, if you hadn't already been a little bit awake, you wouldn't have seen those beautiful messages that were in front of you.
Right. I mean, we all have to clear our own lenses, right, from time to time, and be able to take a step back and see the larger picture. And if you don't have that skill, well, then you're really just riding a pretty rough ride, right? So
Totally.
I can't say, yeah, and I'm definitely, guilty as hell about that. I can certainly be in the moment and make horrible decisions it's just for me, having a spirituality, having a sense of consciousness doesn't mean I don't make the mistakes. It doesn't mean I'm not going to be subject to a lot of the disappointments or things that cause suffering and grief. But it does mean that I have a better chance of being able to sometimes scale back when I need to or go in when I need to. And that's the real art, I think, of being fully awake and alive. I'm not trying to escape my life. I'm just trying to help myself to navigate through it. And then why spirituality and why that's important, it's because then we have additional eyes, additional hearts and energy that can go into that journey, so we're really not alone. And that's something that really happened to me in this chapter, is in the midst of being quite horribly alone and a real wreckage of a situation, I began to sense the permeability in me of connection to the things around me. And that became increasingly a consciousness that finally helped me to really lift myself up through those circumstances.
So when I created the idea of love warriors, I wanted part of that definition to be about showing up, knowing our vulnerability is one of our strengths. For me, that was part of how I define being a love warrior. Why are you a love warrior, Dan?
Well, beautiful question. Well, I think all true warriors are, in essence, love warriors. I use the term warrior quite a bit in my work, as you may have noticed. My business is Warrior Vox, and
Yes.
and your own style of badassery with the your background in martial arts. I don't have to explain it to you at all, but there's this idea that you have to take a stand in life, right? And you need to take a position, and that is sometimes the position of a warrior. And I think of how that definition has changed for me over time. When I was younger, maybe it was a fairly romantic ideal, of a chivalrous knight, or, the hero on a quest, or that sort of notion. And then increasingly, through my exposure to indigenous way of life, through a lot of ceremony and teaching, I've acquired sort of a tribal heart warrior concept, which is a warrior. I'm just kind of paraphrasing Sitting Bull here. It's not about destruction and killing someone else or killing something, because life is sacred and is to be honored, and no one has a right to take someone else's life. However, there are times when you have to take a position to defend what you love, to defend that which is vulnerable, to defend that which needs defense. So in Sitting Bull's quote, it's about the elders and the women and the children, and you could extend that to way of life, your medicines, your food supply, your society. What will you stand in defense of? And that is a heart matter, because if you don't love and care enough about those things and those relationships, then why would you bother to get excited about it if they're threatened by anything, right? So the warrior archetype, I think, is so powerful in healing, because it brings you to that point of discernment where you just absolutely must take a position and set a clear boundary. What will you stand for? What are you willing to push yourself forward in order to fulfill or defend? And where do you take a step back? So it's just that edge of awareness that I think is the warrior aspect. And then the love aspect is, well, that's really about why we're doing this. Love keeps you in your heart, especially as a modern man. I can get stuck up here all day long trying to think about what I should be doing, and what's my bottom line, which is an economic question. But I think at the heart of it is a spiritual economy. What's in my realm of concern. I got to start with me. I got to protect this life, and understand that this life, this little one I carry inside of me, this energy, this spirit, is the way by which I will be able to take care of all those other things that I love and care about around me. So it's this kind of interesting loop. The warrior is, in one way, is completely about dedication. And if you talk about love warrior, then that's like dedicating your actions into the world that you love. But of course, you have to start with you, or you're just no good in that world to begin with. So it's an interesting paradox.
It is, and I know it's a topic that you and I could talk about for all day today.
Yes, yes.
So it's so awesome. I've loved everything you've just said, and I heard about the discernment. I think discernment is a ninja level move of
Mm,
awareness. And for anybody listening, if you just pause on that piece that he was talking about with discernment, and you move into a practice that helps you with discernment, I mean, everything's going to change for you. Everything. I get excited about that topic. Okay, so I would love for everybody to know a little bit about what you're up to in the world aside from writing in this book. What's one
yeah,
of the things you have going on right now that you want to share?
sure. Right now, I was just pulling together some more notes and study on a new course I'm offering. This is the third online course I've done like consecutively, and even with some of the same students and participants. And this one is it's called Uncage Your Wolf: Experience Greater Freedom and Unfettered Joy. And
Love that title.
yeah, I know. Does that rock?
It
So
does.
yeah, so the wolf is a tribal namesake. It's part of my identity in the Anishinaabe way of life. I was given that name, and so I've always related to the to the wolf, and there's some powerful teachings around that. And there's an interesting paradox with the wolf because it's often the subject of folk, denigration, folk tales, the big bad wolf and that kind of thing. And so I was playing on that theme because a lot of the work I've been doing lately on self is about how to integrate shadow, how to come to peace with the parts of you that you tend to suppress, deny, or avoid. And when I think of those characters in mythology, there's just so many to choose from. But I focused on this idea of the wolf and how to transmute the idea of suppress, how we self-suppress, how we tend to scapegoat through our negative parts of self, and then how that's a big ripoff that we do with our energy, and how do we transform that so we have access to the totality of our energy and our well-being. And then when you do that, you come to peace with your own nature. So that's the whole arc of this class, and really finding those footholds in mythology and story and concepts that we can come together in an online group and discuss these things and unwrap ourselves along the tracks of the story. So we're going on a great hunt for self, and the result of that is more freedom, more peace with yourself. I got to say, just doing this practice and getting ready, I got extra eyes and ears in the world. It's just so interesting. This too, watching how some of the students I've already been working with and watching their world expand and their heart energy expand has been really encouraging. So I'm really excited about this course. It starts a week from this Monday, October 17th, Central Standard Time, starting at 7. It runs for 90 minutes, and it's available. So if people are interested, if they get this recording in time, they'll be able to sign up on my website, www.warriorvox, like warrior with a vox, vox.com. Go to the courses page and you can sign up. And if you miss this course, I'm probably going to continue running these courses, maybe not the same ones, but I'm in the process now of finding ways to present the wisdom and the teachings into these 7-week course formats.
Powerful, super powerful. Dan, thank you so much for what you're doing in the world. And thanks for being here today to share with
Yeah,
everyone.
it's exciting. It's great timing. Thanks for having me on, and I look forward to sharing more.
All right, you guys, I know that Dan probably said something today that made you curious. You might have a question, maybe you need some support. Scroll down to the show notes because I have his website that he talked about there down there and hooked up for you. You're going to be able to connect with him on the website, and he is very generously there for you to help you take those next steps. Go check out that's not the only thing he has going on, right? So check out all
Yep.
of the amazing things that Dan is up to. And one of the big missions of these books is to give you the experts and the community you need for healing, joy, and manifesting that amazing life of yours. So you're also invited to our self-healing book club group on Facebook. You can find that link down below. You can continue this conversation. It's a really, really great next step for you today. And of course, you're invited to our live stream book launch party. That's going to be in the new year, January 6th, 23, on the Facebook page, Brave Healer Productions Facebook page, which is also linked up down below for you. Lots of links down there. On that day, we're going to be talking to all of the Love Warriors
Wow.
authors, and they'll be sharing their wisdom and inspiration with you. And of course, if you're listening after that date or around that date, you can hop over to Amazon and the book will be ready. Any last quick words, Dan, for our listeners?
Yeah, as we're going into this fall season, this is a great time, which is also echoed in my chapter. It's a great time to let go of that which is no longer serving you. It's,
Uh,
we got these great cycles, spring and fall, and they're both house cleaning times. And I know you're really big on that, Laura, like the feng shui of your life and your office. And I'm doing some of that here. I'm rearranging stuff. And yeah, make more room in your life for what's beautiful and loving and supportive to come in by letting go of something each day, as we get towards Samhain, towards Halloween, as we call it, which is the great gateway to spirit world. And there's a great metaphor in some of these Halloween themes to think about. You got the witch's broom, right? And you can think of that broom as sweeping all the debris, all the parts of your experience that are just basically little chunks of energy that don't really serve you in the way that they are now. They're just pieces, they're fragments, they're old thoughts. You maybe moved on from something, you're just a little holding on, a little memory. And think of that great broom of Kali or Crone sweeping that energy right into the spirit world so that it can be transformed back into love and purpose.
Love it. Oh my goodness. I got the visual of the broom. Thank you, Dan. All right, everyone. Lastly, today, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. Maybe you are ready to be one of the next Brave Healer Productions best-selling authors. So it's time to be brave. Come and visit us at bravehealer.com. See you next time, everyone. Thanks, Dan.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Laura.